From there we went on into Germany, uh, across the Rhine River, and in a small town of Wessel in Germany. Now, Wessel was actually a small village, but the only thing standing in the town of Wessel was a bathtub on pipes. A bathtub because the English had leveled the entire town, just leveled it. The only thing standing was this bathtub. And it was also a focal point for going across and bringing back prisoners, German prisoners, and what have you. So we went on up into Germany, and I think it was later on in the season we were given R&R. The Army had rented a big hotel, which we were supposed to go to, but I didn't. I went back to the Dieverpont in Holland, and they put me up in their son's bed. Their son had gone on to Amsterdam and became the librarian at that time. So they put me up in the bed, and every so often Mama Dieverpont would come in and tap me on the shoulder and say, "Do you want breakfast?" Well, now breakfast was unusual because I knew they didn't have anything, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But she had scrounged up an egg someplace, and so I had a breakfast of toast and eggs and what have you. I stayed with them a couple of days, and she related to me the fact that she had a sister who was a nun in Germany, in a small town of Wirl. It's on the map. And wondered if I could take a brief, as they call it, a letter, to her. And I said, well, I can try. That's all I can say. I can try. So they wrote a big, long letter, and I went back to Germany. The war ended in April, I believe, and I still had the Jeep.
Now, was this the classic Jeep that we think of? The Willys? Was it the normal wartime Willys Jeep that we think about all the time?
Oh yeah, no restraints.
Right, no frills.
But I have to back up on this one because one time I was taking this young man who had wrecked his truck back to his camp in Germany. And over there, the berm on the roads are high in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
This was early morning and a lot of dew on the ground. And my rear wheels of the Jeep turned around over the berm.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down and up over a railroad track. And the Jeep stood on its radiator on the other side. Stood up, it didn't fall over. But in the meantime, I and the other man went out of the Jeep because we didn't have any belts.
I guess so.
And they picked me up, and later on, and that's why I say I've always had rocks in my head, because I landed on a railroad track, and when I went to the field hospital, they shaved my head, but they put some collodion on it, and left the rocks in there. They were there for many, many years. I think they've gone now. Anyway, that's aside from the point.
What happened to the other fella?
He broke his shoulder. And when they pulled me out of it, a convoy come along and picked me up. We spent 8 hours in an ambulance, a field ambulance, trying to find a field hospital. But they had bandaged me, my legs up, from the ankles up to my knees. They said I had broken ribs. They had my head all bandaged up. My arms were all bandaged up. But actually all that happened was the fact that I was bruised and cut and what have you. But, so I couldn't sit down for a while because I still have the shorts that I wore at that time with a slash in the bottom and the backside. Okay? So we get back, the war ended, and our company was responsible for a stockade that had all the Russians in it. Russian military, Russian civilians. And going to this last post, we had picked up 5 Russians, 2 women, 3 men, 2 men and a boy. And we took them with us, and they did all the menial work, laundry, KP, and what have you. And when the war ended, we asked the group that was with us if they wanted to go into the stockade with the other Russians, and they said no. So we took them all the way to the Elbe River and turned them loose. I don't know whatever happened to them. And meantime, my friend, and I took off in the Jeep to see if we could find this letter or deliver the letter. Well, at that time you couldn't collaborate or talk to any German people, period, because it was and we had some court-martials that people did talk to them. We got into the town of Whirl, and I saw this lady. Nobody's around me, so I asked her, I said, "You speak English?" She says, "Yes." I said, "You know of a convent that might be here?" "Oh, yes, I will show you." So she took off when we took off in the Jeep. She couldn't get in the Jeep, of course, so she walked. We drove the Jeep. Come up to this convent. The Mother Superior was on the first floor, but you could see cracks in this convent where the bomb had made a big crack in it. And my friend stayed with the Jeep, and I went in, and Mother Superior said, "Yes, she is here, but she's rather ill." Now, this has been 5 years since her Dutch sister had seen her or heard from her. So, but she said, "If you'll wait a while, we'll see if we can put you two together." And while we were waiting, she said, "Would you like some orange juice?" I think it was pseudo orange juice. And she gave me a glass, and she had a glass, and I just didn't drink it. And she said, "Oh." So she just up and drank a part of my orange juice. So I said, "Oh, fine, that's good." And we discussed several things, one of which was they had a letter to the military government requesting petrol or gas for their vehicles. And so I went over the letter with her, because it was the English at that time had the military government in that area